Today we're going to be working on Unit 7, Lesson 10, Interpreting Inequalities. So you're going to start with the warm-up today, and that's going to be this first one. And you're writing true or false, and you're determining, using fractions and decimals, if the equation is true or false. And then you just have to say why it's true or why it's false. So I'm going to give you just about a minute to go through these and see if you cannot figure them out. You need to make sure that you're using different strategies that we have gone over and done throughout the year, dealing with fractions, dealing with distributive property, dealing with decimals. Okay, so for the first one, you have to do order of operations. So you would do 12 plus 5, which would give you 17, and then you have to do 3 times 17, which will give you 51. This one is 3 times 12, so 3 times 12 is going to be 36, and then 3 times 5 is 15. So then you have to multiply 36 times 15, and that gives you 540. So do these two equal each other? No. So this one is going to be false. Okay. Now the next one, you're multiplying fractions straight across. So you're going to multiply that way, and that way, and that way, and that way. So 1 times 3 is going to be 3, and 3 times 4 is 12. And then 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 6 is 24. Now, you could say this is not equal, but what happens if we divide this one by 2? We end up with 3 over 12 equals 6 divided by 2 is 3. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So this one is true because both of those are equal. All right, the last one. You are multiplying 2 times 1.5 times 12. So 2 times 1.5 is going to be 3 times 12. And that's going to equal 36. And then over here, I can't do that in my head, so I'm going to slide way over here. And I'm going to do 75 hundredths times 4. And there's 2 decimal places. So 75 hundredths times 4 is going to give me 3 times 6. So 3 times 6 would be 18. Those do not equal, so that is false. Okay? So just getting our brains thinking. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the second activity, which is basketball games. It says Noah scored N points in a basketball game. So we're using this information for the next 6 questions. Number 1 says, what does 15 is less than N mean in the context of the basketball game? So if we know that Noah scored N points, we could say that Noah scored, because does N have to be greater than 15, or does it have to be less than? Since it's pointing this way and it's technically eating, if you want to go back to that term, or it's facing the bigger number, we would say Noah scored more than 15 points. Okay, number 2 says, what does N is less than 25 mean in the context of the basketball game? So this one we would say Noah scored, since n is less than 25, we know that he couldn't have scored more than 25 points. So Noah scored less than 25 points. Okay, looking at question number 3, it says draw 2 number lines to represent the solution to the 2 inequalities. So you're going to draw one number line, and I'm going to put this one over here because I don't want to make them run into each other. And I want to be able to put the information. So we're going to do 2 number lines. In the first one, we know that it's going with this inequality. So we're looking at this one for that inequality. And we know that it did he score 15 points or more, or did he score more than? We know that he scored more than. So 15 is going to have an open circle because remember, open equals not included. Okay, so we know that he scored more than 15 circles. And if this is 0, we're going to be going, and I'm going to use a different color just so it stands out. We're going to be going this way on our number line. Okay? So any number greater than 15 would make that statement true. So now I want you to use this equation for this number line. We know that we're going to have 25, and I'm going to put 0. I want you to take a second and see if you can maybe draw your own number line and make sure that, or when we check, to make sure that it's correct with both of us. Okay, so it says less than 25 points. So if we included 25, that would not make our statement true because 25 is not less than 25. So again, we're using an open circle, and it has to be less than 25. So we are going to be going in this direction because 0 is that way. And again, I'm using a different color just so you can see the direction of the arrow. Okay? Any questions about number 3? Make sure that you write them down so we can go over them. All right. Number 4. It says name a possible value of n that is a solution to both inequalities. So with this one, it has to be a solution for both of these. So it has to be what? Greater than 15, but it has to be less than 25. So what's, one number that could be greater than 15 but less than 25. So an example of a solution could be 17. It could be 20. It could be 21. It could be 16. It could be 18. It can be 22, 23, 24, 19, any, let's see, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So any one of those would be a solution. We do not include 15 and we do not include 25 because that would make our statement untrue. All right, so now this one says, name a possible value for n that is a solution to n is less than, 15 is less than n, but not a solution to n is less than 25. So with that one, that's saying that it's got to be greater than 15, but it also has to be greater than 25. So with this one, you could say n is greater than, or n is equal to 26, 27, 28, and so on. You could go on from there. All right? Now, the last question. It says, can negative 8 be a solution to n in this context? Explain your reasoning. So I'm going to give you a minute to answer this question and just explain to me why it would be a solution or it would not be a solution. All right, so the answer to this would be no. And the reason this would be no is there's never been a basketball game with a negative score. Okay, so since it's saying -8, it can't. Like there's no such thing as scoring negative points. So that would be your reasoning. No game has ever had negative points. And it cannot happen in scoring points in basketball. Okay, so there's the answer for that one. All right, and that is the end of lesson 10. Again, interpreting and knowing how to understand and explain your inequalities. All right, make sure if you have any questions that you post them in the discussion board, or you ask during our Zoom sessions, or if you have a question afterwards that you're trying to figure out when you're doing your practice problems, that you send a remind, send an email requesting a Zoom session. If enough of us have the same question, we might have to schedule an extra Zoom session during the day. But just communicate with me with your needs that you are struggling with these lessons. All right, bye.